And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel. Welcome to the Dice Tower. Today we're talking about Aqua Mirabilis. This is a game where you are in the French court making perfumes that make everybody happy. Essentially, you're making everybody stink a little bit less, but everyone wants new and unique perfumes. Or maybe the same perfumes everybody else has. You want to be cool, right? This game, you are a perfumer making perfumes. It's a worker placement style game. Let me show you. There's a lot going on in this game, and so I'm not going to go over everything, but kind of give you a good idea of how the game works. Each game is going to last a certain number of days, and this is, I'm showing you the 3 to 4 side of the board. Well, if you're playing with 3 players, you'll skip a few days, and then you'll use the other side of the board for a 2-player game. Now, each player on their turn is going to be using this main wheel on their board. And so I can, for example, place my worker somewhere on the board. That worker, when I place it down, will use a certain number of action points. If I place it in that spot, I'll use 2 action points. On my next turn, I put my worker down, and I still have up to 3 action points I can spend. Or I can move by carriage and produce. I have 3 points of production, and I can move my carriage too. You can see that those numbers will change. If I produce or move by carriage, or I spend all my action points, then I start a new week. When you start a new week or a new day, this moves. So this will move on some players' turns, but not on everybody's turn. So this could move on multiple turns, but you'll never be able to do one whole turn. You'll always do 2 things because you can only spend action points, and there's nowhere on the board where you'll spend 5. You might spend 3, and then your next turn do something else. So that's kind of the ebb and flow of the game. Although each player starts with an originality token, and there are ways to get more of them, and you can spend this when your turn's over to essentially take another turn. Now, over the course of this game, players are going to be making perfumes. To have a perfume, you're going to need a certain amount of experience, and you're going to have many different tiles and things on your board, which will give you experience points. And the more experience you have, the better perfumes you can make. Each perfume is always made up of 2 fragrances. So this is the base for a rose perfume, but I can put, for example, a jasmine in there, so that'd be rose jasmine, or I might make rose orange. And in fact, you can make one with a double scent on the other side, although that would require more experience points to do it. So one of the actions players can take on their turn is they can put their worker up here and take some of these flowers. There are all 6 different flowers on the board. These will be replenished at various points as the days go by. Different flowers will be replenished, and when you take them, you can take one where you placed your person. You can also take one for each of these workers that are here, and you can move them, but it will cost you additional action points to move them around and take the different flowers. Once you have these flowers, you're going to want to turn the flowers into scents. When you take the production action, you'll be able to take your flowers and turn them into scents using the different things you have. So for example, here the distillation lets you change anything except for rose into the matching scent. But I also might get this one here, which lets me change any 2 different ones into 2 different scents. And each of these will cost a certain number of production points to do so. And there are all sorts of things that you can get here, different ways to essentially crush these flowers into scents. Once you have the scents, you can make a perfume. That's kind of like a free action as long as you have the 2 different scents. Let's say I would discard an orange and a lavender, and now I have an orange lavender perfume. There are other spots on the board you can go to. You can go to these things, these different tiles, which will give you extra scents when you make them, or extra flowers. These are, when you go to one of these spots, you can go through here and pick something that will help give you special abilities. They also increase your experience as you go to these different areas, and you can go here and buy new ways to crush flowers into different scents. You can also go visit the nobles here in the middle of the board. When you visit a noble, there's different action points for going to each of those, you can get a letter of reference. You're going to need letters of reference. You go to the first one to get a letter of reference 1. You can up that to a 2 by going to the second one, and so on. You can also give a gift to the people who are, to the lady here. Each one is looking for different scents, or this lady here is looking for tokens, and you'll be able to look at one of these random tiles at the end of the game. These tiles are going to be worth points for various things, and you'll know what they are, preparing for them. And whoever has the most tokens on any given person will get this tile, which will give you a special ability and is also worth points at the end of the game. 5 points for having the most on each of these ladies. Players also, when you produce, remember I said you can also move your carriage. You'll be able to move your carriage in different spots here at the top of the board. When your carriage reaches a city, if you have a letter of recommendation that allows you to reach that city, each letter lets you go to a farther city. When your carriage gets there, you'll be able to go through here, take another tile that's worth experience, and gives you a one-time bonus use. And also, possibly, not in the case of Paris, these are all worth 0 victory points at the end of the game, but many of them are worth various victory points at the end of the game. If you don't want to wait till your carriage gets to these spots, you can also place your worker there, but that costs action points, and you can only take the top tile rather than search through and get anyone you want. Now, at the end of the day, this is all about presenting perfumes. When you present a perfume, and you'll go here to do that, you'll present one of your perfumes to the court. So let's say I made that orange lavender perfume. So I go down here to orange lavender, the first one. If I'm the first person to make it, that's fantastic. I'm going to take this token of originality. I can use it in a future turn. And I'll put a blue cube there. I then score 1 point for each empty square there. So that scores me 3 points, which is pretty good. The next person to make it will only score 2 points, then 1 point, and the last person to present this perfume gets no points. For that anyway. You'll get an extra 3 bonus points if the king is in the column, and the king moves at various points of the game, and he always moves to the column that has the fewest blue cubes, because he's looking for original stuff. The nobles are here. They'll always move to where there's the most blue cubes at different points in the game. But if the nobles are where you make a perfume, you'll score points, and the number of points you get is equal to whatever letter of recommendation. If I have a letter 2, they'll give me 2 points. And if you put it in the spot where the nobles and the king are, you'll get an extra bonus point. So making perfumes quickly will give you these tokens, which gives you more actions over the course of the game and gives you more points. But if you wait carefully, you can make the exact perfume that they want to have. And that's pretty much it. You're just going to be doing that over and over the course of the game and working to make better and better perfumes to sell these. And when you run out of time here at the end, you're going to reveal all these tiles, scoring the bonus points for them. Also, whoever has the most discs on each gets bonus points. You'll be able to present your perfumes one last time, and whoever has the most points is the winner of the game. There's a lot of moving pieces in this game, but I think it's not that complex. I actually really like grids, right? So this chart over here looks really well done. The flowers and the scents being the same thing is good. They also have a letter on each one so that you can differentiate them, and a different flower. But O is orange, and I don't know. I just like the look of this game. The boards themselves, this wheel here, easy to move around, and different spots. They also have a different person, although that pretty much means nothing. They also give you some details here on how to do everything, which is pretty handy. Overall, I'm pretty happy with it. The game also comes with a listing of all the different possible perfumes and how you score a perfume and what happens on a Sunday, all the different things. So I'm pretty happy with the production of the game. This is, the quintessential boring Euro in a sense, except it doesn't look boring at all to me. Now, if I started off by saying this is the best game about making perfumes out there, you might say, ha, 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 Vasel, come on now. There's not that many. Well, there's actually more than you might think out there. But this one is really well done. Now, I will say, I'm not a fan of this box cover. This box cover just isn't doing anything for me. There's too much white on it. I mean, I like that this guy's like, hey, look at my perfume, and all the people are like, oh, the perfume. But there's so much about this game that's really cool. There seems to be multiple paths to victory. It's essentially about making the perfumes, but you have to decide which scents you're going to jump on board on. That flower market, has a bunch of flowers at the beginning, but they're going to go really quickly. So do you jump in there and grab flowers? And then how do you build up different ways to make sense, or just use the very generic way and use that a bunch of times at the beginning and kind of take your actions slowly building up and making these perfumes that you know the king and the court want, or do you just jump out there and sell perfumes and you don't care? Finding out what the 4 different end scoring things is makes a pretty big swing at the end of the game. Visiting the cities, building up your experience. When you make those double scented perfumes, which cost more experience to do, you're able to place a blue cube on 2 different spots in the same column. That's pretty powerful and can score you a lot of points. And this is one of those games where you can shoot out a bunch of stuff at the beginning, take a whole bunch of early points and actions, or you can delay making a really good perfume and scoring more points. And that kind of back and forth I enjoy. Is there some fiddliness to parts of the game? I might argue that moving the carriages at the top is a little fiddly. The game is hard to gauge how long it will take because the days don't move at the end of everyone's turn. Usually it will move every 2 or 3rd time that you do something, the day will change. And so sometimes you're trying to figure out when the game is going to end. It's a little wonky in that regard. Although at the end of the game, everyone has a quick chance to sell their perfumes and things. The rulebook, I was a little daunted with the rulebook at first, although it does talk a little bit about modern shopping malls and how the clone there has now, where this all came from, and that's cool, but they really were clear. Examples after examples of how things work. I really thought this rulebook did a good job at teaching this game. Here's the thing, Gothic Games isn't a big, well-known company. They've made I played one of their other games, I have enjoyed it, but this is a really solid game that I've just not heard a lot about. It has a cool theme. No, we're not just trading goods in the Mediterranean. We are here selling perfumes and doing things. And to me, that's an intriguing theme. Making combinations, placing workers out. You have one worker, but placing them in the right spot. The game seems to scale really well from 2 to 4 players. There's definitely interaction. You're definitely trying to beat the other people to the punch on various spots on the board. And I thought it was pretty cool. So definitely one to check out. Don't let the name or the theme scare you away. If anything, I think the theme should bring people in. That's Aqua Mirabilis. I'm Tom Vasel. We'll see y'all next time. Dice Tower Judgment approved.